Hello, welcome again to SwamiLee's Sports Talk here at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles, 2673 Henfield Road in Pensacola, New Jersey. I'm Swami Lee.
I'm Manic Mike.
And I'm Predictor Ed.
Well, I have a question for Manic Mike.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
prefer Sunday? Because that's my fun day. It's kind of my I don't have to run day.
Wow.
The
table just got immediately uncool right now.
Well, why don't you talk about Doctor Who again to make it even more?
Doctor Who is awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
You know who else loves Doctor Who, by the way?
Who's that?
Hugh Douglas.
Well, you know, I have a great idea. Right after Doctor Who, put the Virgin Diaries on, and it'll be like part 1 and part 2.
Dude, I'm the coolest guy you know. And I'm telling you, Doctor Who is cool.
I don't think that's going to help. I could be wrong. Well, anyway, it is off season in the major leagues, as we all know.
But winters can be beautiful, you know.
A hazy shade of winter?
Winter's coming next year.
Nope, don't know that.
No
one.
Game of Thrones?
No,
nobody?
Yeah, sorry.
Dude, no Doctor Who, no Game of Thrones. Dude, man.
You know.
You need help.
Hey,
Mrs. Swami, help this guy.
Hey, I
please.
watched Riverdale the other day.
The Archies?
I was very impressed by that show. I recommend it, by the way, even though anyway, we don't need to go into that.
Back on topic.
Yes, we had best stay on topic. So, you know, there's so much to talk about, yet there's nothing to talk about. So we are going to talk about something. You'll notice Mike usually picks a topic, but Mike is not going to pick the topic today, at least not the first part.
And that's one reason I'm so manic. I'm very unhappy about this change.
Yeah, but this is important. This is an important topic. I read an article yesterday on the internet, and you know it's true because it's on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that are baseball experts, if you will,
and us,
there's that word that starts with a C and ends in illusion. And teams are always accused of it. Collusion, of course. Baseball players, when they don't get their way, scream collusion because of an unfortunate incident from 30 years ago. And I'm reading that the fact that only a half dozen or so free agents have signed, there's this talk about collusion. Mike, do you think that the major league teams are colluding against free agents?
That's really a two-part question, even though you haven't expressed it as such. Part one, do I think there's collusion? It wouldn't surprise me if there is. But part two, do I think the players are going to be able to prove it? This time around, no. I believe that based on past experience, the people who run these 30 organizations have learned their lessons, and to be blunt, they're smarter, and they're going to make it a lot harder to get caught.
Okay, so what you're telling me is you believe that J.D. Martinez does not have a contract more because of collusion than because he wants $200 million at age 32 and no history of success in the major leagues.
Well, that's not a real good example.
Okay, Jake Arrieta wants $200 million, and although 2 years ago Jake Arrieta had an impact season, if you look at his career numbers and his career seasons, is he a $200 million pitcher at age 31 or something like that?
Look at how many players have one breakout season 5, 6, 7 years into the majors and parlay that into a contract that is frankly ridiculous in light of past performance.
Like $200 million for J.D. Martinez at age 32?
Well, again, bad example.
Oh, boy. Ed, you been following it all?
Vaguely. And I think I've said this before, and I say it again, that baseball needs a salary cap. It does.
Well,
I'm sorry.
They'll never have one.
And then because they won't, we're always going to have these astronomical contracts with 30-plus-year-old players for $200 million, $250 million,
And let me just interrupt and say that this might be a good reason for a man like Marvin Miller not to be in the Hall of Fame in spite of his great impact. Ed, I apologize.
No, you're fine. But do I think there's the collusion going on? Absolutely. But like Mike said, they're a lot smarter to not get caught. Absolutely, because now the owners are like, I'm not paying this money. We're not, and if you don't do it, I won't do it. You know, it's their way, kind of sticking together to bring the price down. I get it. Trust me. And I don't begrudge anyone for trying to make as much money as they can in anything they do, whether they're a good player or not. You know, that's even a normal job that I have. I try to make as much money as I can because I need to provide for my family and I want to live comfortably. So if they want to play a sport, they want to do whatever and get as much. I'm not one of those people that go, I can't believe that this guy's only playing for this amount of money. Hey, it's a free market. Do whatever. Do you.
Okay, so hang on. So let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
So let's say Bryce Harper and Manny Machado were free agents right now. Not last year. Not right now. Right this minute. And Manny Machado came out and said, I signed for 10 years, $350 million, which anybody knows me knows that's a steal in my opinion.
Right.
Okay? Is a major league team going to offer him that contract and sign him immediately? Or do you think he'd still be a free agent, you know, into January if he agreed that those terms would sign him?
I think Manny Machado gets that contract.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, Bryce Harper comes out and says, he's a free agent also, and he says, I want a 10-year, $350 million contract, and I'll sign on the dotted line to the first team that offers me that contract. Is he still a free agent in late January?
I think it takes him a long time to get that contract because of his injury history and because, frankly, he's a douche.
Yeah, he's a douche.
Well, we know he's a douche. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not even a question, but douches have gotten paid for years. So that really has no effect on it. My point, again, being it's not collusion if some players get contracts. If you, again, I know, Ed, you were a little young to fully get into the business of baseball in the mid-'80s.
Right.
I followed it closely. The collusion was ridiculous. I mean, Andre Dawson literally went to the Cubs and said, here is a blank contract. I want to be a Cub. You fill in whatever dollar amount you want, because nobody would give future Hall of Famer Andre Dawson a sniff of a contract, okay? And they wrote in $500,000, which was a horrendous insult. That's collusion, okay? No player got a contract that entire year, or it's actually multiple years. Not one player got a market contract. Phillies got Lance Parrish.
Lance Parrish.
But they got him at a fraction of his market value, which is worth it because he was horrible.
He was horrible, yeah.
You know, but those players, Tim Raines, come on. No team offered Tim Raines a contract.
He had the baddest Jerry curl in the world, man. That was a bad curl,
But
man.
think about it. Not one team offered Tim Raines a contract. That's called collusion.
Okay.
The Red Sox allegedly have offered, because I wasn't there, a 5-year, $125 million to J.D. Martinez. I'm sorry, in my eyes, that's not collusion. Okay? That's them being intelligent, not wanting to pay a 39-year-old J.D. Martinez $25 to $30 million a year. That's how I see it.
Well, any team should be able to defend a collusion charge by saying, look, so-and-so didn't get his 10-year, $250 million contract, but you know what? Albert Pujols, end of story. We learned our lesson, and we're not going to make the Angels' mistake.
Yeah.
Period.
Scott Boras claims that he has proof that more of those contracts are good than bad, which I would love. I wish I had the power that I could sit down with Scott Boras. I want to see how he proves that these 7 to 10 year contracts.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Carlos Beltran, by the way, who at the end of his contract, he actually got better again.
Right.
But in that middle of that contract, they were hamstrung by that 7-year, $120-some million. Look at Jason Worthless. I mean, talk about a waste of $120-some million.
Well, here's a better question, I think. Instead of looking at how badly or how well particular players performed, what I'd like to know is how many teams who signed free agents to blockbuster contracts won rings.
You see, this is baseball. You can't do it. You can't do that because a player could sign a contract, bat .380 with 50 homers, 150 RBIs, and the team could win 75 games. Look at Steve Carlton, 1972.
I know all about Carlton in '72, but the point is,
if he had been a free agent,
winning.
if he had been a free agent and been given this huge contract, are you going to tell me the team won 59 games? It was a bad contract.
Well, then again, the team won how many divisions with him on as their ace? They won a World Series.
But he wasn't
they won
on
two pennants.
He wasn't on a multi-year contract at the time. So remember, you can't judge it that way. If they had given him a 10-year contract, then you could say that. Look at Dave Winfield, Mr. May, as Steinbrenner called him. 10-year contract from 81 until 91, whatever it was. What did the Yankees do from 81 to 91?
Was he on their World Series losing team in '81?
Yeah, he had one hit. He had one hit in the whole World Series. That's why they called him Mr. May. It was really rude because Winfield was a stud. But anyway, bottom line, this isn't collusion. This is these greedy SOBs trying to get way too much money. But when we come back from the break, there's another piece of this puzzle.
Hello, I'm Dickie Knowles, 1980 Philadelphia Phillies pitcher. That was the year we won the World Series, our very first in our history. And when I'm in South Jersey, I love stopping at SwamiLee's for the best card selection in the Delaware Valley area.
And we're back. SwamiLee's Sports Talk here at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles. I'm Swami Lee.
I am Manic Mike with my new hero, Blake Bortles.
I am Super Bowl bound Ed.
Does that make me the worm?
Mrs. Swami, does that make him the worm?
Oh, boy. So, we just talked about the C word, collusion in free agency, which is bunk, if I may use a term from the 1950s probably. But there's other things that may be taking place here that go beyond the money itself. Again, I've been reading a lot of articles on Twitter, and between being called douche nozzle by Kurt Schilling and everything else, I read these articles. Mm-hmm. And one of them, they're talking about tanking. You know, let's be the next Astros. Let's be the next Cubs. Let's lose for 5 years, get the top 3 pick 5 years in a row, not screw that pick up, and turn into the teams that won the last 2 World Series. I mean, if you think about it, the Cubs in 16, the Astros in 17, there were some horrible, horrible teams a few years back.
And take it even to the Royals in 15.
I mean, Royals just stunk. In other words, what I mean by that is the Astros will go like this. The Cubs were kind of like this, but the Royals were always down there. So they've been tanking for 20-some years.
Well, that's true.
Okay, they finally turned it around, and then they just couldn't afford the players. But, Ed, we'll start with you.
Yeah.
What do you think about tanking in Major League Baseball?
I think you should play to win the game.
But what if you win 75 games? What's that worth to you as a 75-game winner? It's
worth nothing.
It's a 12th pick in the draft. You could lose free agent compensation, and you didn't get anywhere. Isn't it better to finish with 60 wins and get the top draft picks?
No, because for me, because I can't think like an owner. I can't think like an owner of a team because people come out and pay their good money. They expect to see something. Okay? They expect to see something. No, we're not going to win every single game. Okay? We're not going to win. You know, once the Phillies had their run, and I knew they were going down, you know, we all knew. Players got old.
Excuse me, if I may, real quick.
Yeah.
You knew, I knew, he knew, but Ruben Amaro Jr. did not know that the Phillies were done. Just be clear. I want to clarify that.
Okay.
He did not know. Somehow the guy being paid to be the general manager of the Phillies did not know the team was on its way down in 2012. I just wanted to share
Everyone
that.
knew except for him.
Except him. Everybody
Everyone
else
knew.
knew. I'm sorry, go on.
But you know, regardless, and I knew we were going to have a lot of rocky years trying to get back to that spot again. Even so, if I pay my money to go see the team, I expect them to put in the best effort possible. I want them to win, but if they don't win and they busted, for lack of a better term, they busted their asses, I'm okay.
I can't believe he said that.
I'm okay.
I'm deeply troubled.
You know, I'm okay with that because it's a long season, especially in baseball. It's a grueling season.
It is indeed.
Okay.
Well, that's why guys like Scott Rowland take off on Scott Rowland Day.
Oh, absolutely. You know,
Scott Rowland, the future Hall of Famer, according to I don't know, one of the experts.
No.
Hey, let me tell you something about Scott Rowland.
No.
Scott Rowland, by the way, who was one of the best defensive third basemen in baseball history, okay, and put together a solid hitting career. But here's why Scott Rowland is not a Hall of Famer.
He's very good.
But let me tell you, there's a specific reason. Scott Rowland wanted to get paid. He wanted the coin. He wanted the $11 million contract when that was a big contract. But he wanted to blend into the back of the clubhouse. He didn't want to be a clubhouse leader. You can't be the highest paid guy on the team and fall to the back of the clubhouse. You just can't.
But that's why St. Louis was a great fit for him, because you had Albert Pujols, and
Yep.
wasn't Mark McGwire still there when he was traded? Or
No, McGuire was gone.
Okay.
But no,
like
your
Pujols-
point's well taken. He didn't have to be the man when he went to St. Louis, and that made Scott Rowland happy because he didn't want to be the man. I don't respect that. Okay, I really don't. I mean, if you're Manny Machado and the Phillies give you 10 years, $350 million next year, you can't blend into the back of the clubhouse.
No.
You have to set an example for the younger players. You have to be the man. If the team is struggling, you need to put the team on your shoulders. If you've got to come out and you've got to back up everything because you're getting paid that way. That's why Scott Rowland is not all paid. In case you're wondering out there, that's
Well said.
right. But Mike, tanking thoughts.
Well, I think we have to be careful when we use the word tanking because when the fact is, when you have players on the field, on the ice, on the court, they're playing for the next paycheck. They want to enjoy what they do. Tanking is really an organizational issue when you have guys like Sam Stinky Hinkie making, pardon me, bad draft pick after bad draft pick and getting lucky with one or two of them.
Okay, if I may, the problem is you're talking about basketball, which is a whole nother animal. You can tank basketball. It shouldn't take 7 years of tanking in basketball.
No, but
that's an organizational problem when you can tank for 7 years in a row.
But there's a point. Okay. The point is that whether it's basketball, whether it's football, whether it's hockey, or whether it's baseball, organizations shouldn't be allowed to tank. Leagues should step in. Now, obviously, owners have some latitude to do what they want. They're the ones who invest the money. They're the ones who take the risk. I recognize that. And the fact is, as we've seen all too often in Philadelphia, the people who run these organizations are far from infallible.
Yeah.
However, when it gets to the point that management actually makes the decision, well, we're not going to spend money. We're going to leave guys in the minors longer simply to try to ensure a better draft pick because they are aware of some phenom coming out and graduating from high school who they think in 3 or 4 or 5 years might be an ace, might be a future Mike Schmidt. No, we can't have that. We, the people who spend the money, deserve a heck of a lot better than that.
Well, the problem is you've already made a mistake because you've acted like the Phillies have any idea what's going on draft day. This is the team that keeps taking outfielders every year, overall number one. They've got the average age of their outfielders is like 24 right now, and they've used their last 2 first picks for outfielders.
Well,
and the worst part, neither of those 2 outfielders project to be anything more than number 2, number 3 outfielders.
Well, you know what? If I had known this was going to be the topic, I would have brought my recording of you singing the praises of the Mickey Moniak pick. Sadly, I was not forewarned, and so I did not bring the recording.
I'd like to hear that recording because I've never said it.
Clearly you did.
I do not know what he is talking. I mean, seriously, I do not know what he was talking about. Mickey Moniak was a mediocre pick. He was a safe pick. He wasn't a horrible one. I'm not criticizing the guy.
But at number 1, you don't go for a safe pick.
That's the thing. This isn't an organization like Tampa. I mean, you got to go for it. I mean,
and let me clarify that. In Major League Baseball, you don't go for the safe pick at number 1. You go for the home run.
And don't forget, Cornelius Randolph was taken 3 or 4 years ago as an outfielder. I mean, they have got outfielders everywhere.
Dare I say who?
Don't worry about it. It's not important. Pitching. You ever hear of something called pitching? Maybe you should take a couple pitchers here and there. I'm just thinking out loud.
Aaron Nola was a pretty high draft pick. And he's turning out
first-round pick. Well, Aaron Nola right now is a solid number 2 starting pitcher. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But I'm not excited about Aaron Nola as anything more than a number 2. I mean, I got it. I'm sorry. I apologize, gentlemen. See, I had a different topic planned for today, and I forgot it. I'm old. What can I tell you? I forgot it. So I just remember what it was. We have about 3-4 minutes left, and we have to address this.
Jacob doesn't look pleased.
I don't care. This is
I'm
too
not
important.
pleased either.
This is too important.
Okay.
This is too important.
I'm kind of scared right now.
We have to discuss this.
Well, before you say it, let me just say that, folks, when he says we're old, or when he says he's old, you should be offended by that, because if he's old, what's that make me?
He's like, that's my grandfather, in case you didn't know. Well, another thing came to my mind yesterday. Something that's been bothering me for a lot of years. Okay, it's called the Phillies Wall of Fame. The Phillies Wall of Fame. They seem to want to keep putting these players that are not really Wall of Famers, like Mike Lieberscrub. I mean, seriously, The only thing he did for this team was he showed up. Okay, he was a first round pick. He was mediocre. Okay, I guarantee you they're going to put Brad Lidge on the wall if he's not already there. Brad Lidge had one good season. Granted, that one good season was in the World Series. One good season. There's one player.
It was a damn good season.
Yeah, it was. But one season.
Right.
There's one player, okay, instrumental to 3 division championships, 1 World Series championship. He was the top of his game. He showed up to work every day like he was supposed to. He never said a word.
Pete Rose was not at the top of his game by the time he became a Philly, so your premise is already wrong.
Nor did he play in 3. Well, actually, he did 80, 81, 83. But that. Oh, I'm sorry. That's 4 postseason teams this guy had, not 3. I apologize. 4 postseason teams this guy played for. Okay, his name. You know who it is. I know.
And it's
and
actually
you may not,
it's actually 6. 76, 77, 78, 8. Yes.
Oh, he did come over in 76. I'm sorry. Yes. 6, 7, 8, 80, 81. He was gone by 83.
He was there in 83.
I'll have to investigate that one. Anyway, his name was Ronald Lee Reed. He was a relief pitcher who teamed up with the righty who teamed up with the lefty, Tug McGraw. Ron Reed is a Wall of Famer. Ron Reed gets no respect whatsoever.
Sounds like you're respecting him.
It's about time Ron Reed gets into the Wall of Fame. Because what's going to happen is you've got Rollins coming, Utley coming, Halladay coming. You've got Howard, Utley, Rollins, Ruiz. All these guys are going to get in there. Well, he's still active. So I'm talking about guys no longer playing that are going to get in the next few years.
Okay.
Ron
so
Reed.
that whole 08 team is going to be there.
Pretty much. Yeah, you know what? By the time I'm dead, probably half of that 08 team at least will be on there. So Taguchi might get on that wall before Ron Reed.
Taguchi. My brother used to love him. I'm like, he's a scrub, man.
So
he's like, no. So he knows how to play the game. I'm like, what game?
Ron Reed is a Wall of Famer.
Lee, let me interrupt and ask you a very pertinent question. I happen to know that last year Ronald Lee Reed was on the Wall of Fame ballot.
I voted for him 25 times, just to be clear.
And you may recall that a gentleman by the name of Peter Edward Rose won the balloting and ultimately was not inducted for reasons we don't really want to go into. We don't have time to go into. But let me ask you, was Ronald even the second vote getter?
I
was
actually don't know. But
because if he wasn't the second vote getter, then I think that's pretty dispositive.
There's a travesty that Ron Reed is getting no respect. Look up his numbers. If I had remembered, I would have prepared something, but I totally forgot this because of the old age thing. Ron Reed has to go in the Wall of Fame.
So let's start
Vote
a campaign.
Ron Reed.
Start a campaign.
I think I'm going to do a website soon dedicated to Ron Reed.
And you know what I think? I think that we should talk about it next Saturday with Mr. Terry Harmon, who I'm sure will.
You know what? That's a great idea for those coming out to see Terry Harmon, the former Phillies infielder. Free autographs, free photos with Mr. Harmon. Mrs. Swami's going to be serving you free lunch while you're here.
What's for lunch?
Hot dogs and baseball food, potato chips, and we might have a pretzel tray. You know, I don't know.
The Swami parents are going to be here.
Oh, Mom and Dad Swami will be here. We're not having. What's that? Oh,
he said pizza.
We're not having pizza.
McDonald's
Everybody
cheeseburgers.
sells pizza. We're making fresh hot dogs. It's baseball.
You making fresh hot dogs?
If we're lucky, Mama's Balls will be open by then.
Yeah, I see that. I was wondering what Mama's Balls were all about. It had the menu out there, and it said balls, pasta, pizza.
Mama.
Back to Terry Harmon and Ron Reed. Anyway, Ron Reed for the Wall of Fame. Excuse me. Look up his numbers. Okay, if Tug McGraw's in the Wall of Fame, Ron Reed should be the Wall of Fame.
Ron Reed, if you're watching somewhere, we're going to start a campaign for you.
We are.
You're going on the Wall of Fame.
If it kills
and I'm going to be there that night that you're inducted. For some reason, I always buy tickets online and never realize it's the Wall of Fame night every freaking year. And I don't even realize it. I buy them online, the season starts, and I go, oh, it's the Wall of Fame. So I'm there.
And you know when a really good time to go to a Phillies game is? I think it's the Saturday afternoon game, Wall of Fame weekend. They have a big event outside the stadium. Gary Maddox sells ribs. Gary knows his ribs.
I think Ron Reed should be there also.
And speaking of Philadelphia, Citizens Bank Park, Phillies, can we please have more dollar dog nights? There used to be like 12 of them a season, and now there's like 5.
Can we forget
Please.
the dollar dog nights and just have the dirty water dogs back?
And can we stop it with the damn potato rolls? They're nasty.
I'm a fan of potato rolls.
I like
so,
potato
yeah,
rolls,
2
so,
out of 3, you lose that one.
But
the
big
dirty
ups on not
water
having
dog-
college night. I don't miss that. 'Cause
How
that was
about
horrible.
this? I'll support Ron Reed. You support the regular buns.
That's a tough one.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
Ron Reed for the Wall of Fame. Okay, this is a no-brainer. If you have any knowledge of baseball whatsoever, you would know that Ron Reed deserves to be on the Wall of Fame.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah,
We good?
we're good.
Gentlemen, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to SwamiLee's Sports Talk here at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles. I'm Swami Lee.
I'm Manic Mike.
I'm
And this is
Eagle.
Blake Bortles.
I'm Eagle Ed. Fly, Eagles, fly.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Put me in cold.